This is the Stars and Stripes in 7, your online source for editorially independent news and information for the U.S. military community. I'm Lamont Easter. Thousands of U.S. troops are now on heightened alert for a possible NATO mission in Eastern Europe. But one potential obstacle stands in the way. All 30 alliance members must agree to the deployment. The Pentagon said that roughly 8,500 troops based in the U.S. are ready to mobilize on short notice should NATO activate its quick reaction force. The Pentagon's preference is that any large troop mobilizations from the U.S. to Eastern Europe be done in conjunction with the rest of NATO. That means pressure will be on the rest of the alliance, most notably Germany, to come to a quick consensus on moving forces for a reassurance mission inside Eastern member countries should Russia launch a new invasion into Ukraine. Germany is already at odds with some allies over its refusal to provide defensive weapons to Ukraine, which has received arms shipments from the U.S., the UK, and the Baltic states. For NATO, activating the force of 40,000 troops for a large-scale security mission in Europe is unprecedented. Given disagreements over how best to deal with Russia and its military buildup around Ukraine, unanimous agreement on mobilizing the force will be a test of alliance cohesion. The head of the U.S. Military Special Operations Command has tested positive for COVID-19. General Richard D. Clark's spokesman, Colonel Kurt Kellogg, stated that the general has very mild symptoms and is working remotely. Kellogg said Clark hasn't been physically in the presence of any senior Defense Department leaders or other members of the Joint Chiefs of Staff this month. Clark is the latest member of the Joint Staff to get the virus. The chairman, Army General Mark Milley, as well as the Marine Commandant General David Berger, were among the latest to have positive tests. Berger is fully vaccinated and received the booster shot. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin also had the virus recently. Military officials announced that some 220 military medical troops are set to deploy in the coming days to hospitals in 8 states to aid staffs overburdened by the recent surge in coronavirus cases across the United States. The new wave of deployments will bring the number of active duty military medical troops working to bolster coronavirus support to U.S. hospitals to about 400. In December, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin approved the military to deploy up to 1,000 new medical troops into U.S. hospitals if requested by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Pentagon and state officials have provided active duty and National Guard troops to the coronavirus response since its emergence in the United States in early 2020. Including the new deployments, active duty medical troops will be serving in hospitals in 15 states. Another 6,000 Guard medical troops were deployed to hospitals, care centers, and medical facilities, according to National Guard Bureau statistics. Pentagon officials have declined to say how long the troops were expected to deploy. Military police fatally shot a man who breached the main gate at Kentucky's Fort Knox and tried to run over officers. The shooting happened when the man drove toward Fort Knox police officers after initially fleeing from them through the gate, which is near the U.S. Bullion Depository. Officers originally responded to a call regarding a suspicious person outside the gate, but the man fled in a vehicle through the Chaffee Gate onto the post when officers arrived. When the pursuit ended, officers spent 90 minutes trying to verbally de-escalate the situation before the man attempted to ram and strike officers with his vehicle, resulting in officers firing at him, the Post said. He was declared dead at the scene. Officials say he was not affiliated with the military, but his identity was not released pending notification of kin. Although a motive is unknown, there is no initial indication that this incident was extremist or terrorist related. The U.S. Navy began drills in the South China Sea over the weekend that brought together 2 aircraft carriers, numerous warships, and thousands of sailors and Marines in a potential hotspot. A news release from the U.S. 7th Fleet stated that aircraft carriers USS Abraham Lincoln and USS Carl Vinson, along with their respective strike groups, began training that included anti-submarine and air warfare drills, deck-to-deck aircraft transfers, and at-sea refueling and resupplying. In addition to its aircraft contingent, Carrier Air Wing 9, the Abraham Lincoln Strike Group includes guided missile destroyers USS Fitzgerald, USS Gridley, USS Sampson, and USS Spruance, and the guided missile cruiser USS Mobile Bay. The Carl Vinson Strike Group includes Carrier Air Wing 2, the guided missile destroyers USS Stockdale and USS Chaffee, the guided missile cruiser USS Lake Champlain, fleet replenishment ship USNS Yuko, and the cargo and ammunition ship USNS Washington Chambers. The ships represent a force of more than 14,000 sailors and Marines, according to 7th Fleet. The 7th Fleet routinely exercises in the South China Sea, a stage for increasing tensions between the United States and China. Finally, March Air Reserve Base in California is the Air Force's top choice to house the next generation of Air Force tanker planes, an assignment that should shield the historic base from closure and protect a major economic engine for the Inland Empire. Tanker planes are used to refuel other military aircraft in midair, extending their time in flight and eliminating the need to refuel on the ground. The Air Force announced that March is the preferred destination for 12 KC-46A Pegasus tankers. The planes, which serve as airborne gas stations for other aircraft, will replace March's KC-135 straddle tankers, which are part of its 452nd Air Mobility Wing. A final basing decision will follow an environmental impact study that's expected to be done in the fall of 2023. Similar studies will be conducted at 2 alternate sites, Grissom Air Reserve Base in Indiana and Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma. And that is all for this edition of Stars and Stripes in 7. I'm Lamont Easter, helping you stay connected.